this lecture of my accounting series, today I will be discussing with the accounting problem, and that accounting problem is based on the accounting equation. If you have the proper understanding about the accounting equation, then you can easily solve this problem. And about the accounting equation, I have discussed in my previous video. So now look at the blackboard. So the accounting problem you can find in the blackboard is that there is a business, and a business has assets at the beginning $100. I have taken the numbers very low because for the simplicity of the problem. So the business at the beginning assets is $100, and at the beginning the liabilities is $50. During the year business has cost of $90 and paid dividends of $10, revenue earned $60, and asset increased $100. So find out total liabilities at the end of the year. So this type of accounting problem can be solved by the accounting equation. So you know about the accounting equation, that is the assets equal to liability plus equity. So there is a three part of the accounting equation if you consider the time frame. So in the beginning there is a there is a asset equal to liability plus equity, and during the period you can divide the equity into two parts. One is the owner asset, and another is the retained earning. And during the period, the retained earning can be formed by the difference between the profit and the dividends. Okay, the difference has to be paid, and profit has been earned. So there is a difference between the profit and dividends, and that difference actually generates the retained earning. Now the profit comes from the difference between the revenue and expenses. This part is during the time period. At the end there is also the same equation, that is the asset equal to liability plus equity. So look at the blackboard and you can find that there is a asset is 100 in the beginning and liabilities is 50, and there is no information about the equity. Now during the period there is a cost $90 and dividends paid dividends of $10 and revenue earned $60 and asset increased $100. This part is actually due, and at the end of the period there is also, we should have some information about the accounting equation, that is the asset equal to liability plus equity. So look at the blackboard and I will try to solve this problem. So I have a little correction here. So business has cost $20. Okay, I have changed the number. And now look, as we know the accounting equation is asset equal to liability plus equity. So in the beginning the asset is $100, so I put $100 here, and liability is $50, so $50 is here. Now you know, during the period the equity can be divided into two parts, that is owner's capital and retained earnings, and there is no owner's capital as mentioned in the example, that the over the period it is constant. So retained earning comes from the difference between the profit and dividend, and you know the dividend is $10, so I put $10 here, and profit can be generated by the difference between the revenue and expense. So revenue is $60, and expense is $20, so $20. Expense means cost, so $20. So by getting the difference between the revenue and expense, you have 40 profit. So I write 40 profit, $40. Okay, so $40 minus $10 is 30. So retained earning is $30. Okay, so $30, and owner's capital is constant, so equity here is $30. Okay, liability is $50, and now look, $50, and now asset has increased during the period $100. So at the end of the period, the total asset is $200. $100 plus during the period $100. In the beginning it is 100, and during the period it is 100. So 200. So at the end of the period the asset is $200. Okay. So now liability. What is the liability? Liability is here the equity, and so we have. So during the period we have equity is $30, and there is no liability because in the beginning there was 50 liability $. So now there is no liability, and this is the during period. This is the during period. The asset has been increased $100. So 100 minus $30 is the $70. So liability is $70 during the period. So now at the end of the period, asset has increased to $200, because in the beginning it was $100 and during it is 100. So asset at the end $200, and liability is 70 plus 50 $50 plus equity is so liability at the end is 70 plus 50 plus 70 plus 50 is equal to 0 and 1 $120. So at the end of the period, $120 is the liability. So now, in brief, I can say what is the method of solving this problem. Here, the problem has been considered in the three segments of the time period. In the beginning and during the period and at the end of the period. in the beginning, the asset is $100 and liability is 50, so equity is 30. Now some information is given, that is the dividend, profit, cost. On that basis, this all the information actually are dancing during the period. So during the period we have another accounting equation, that is asset, liability and the equity. And here the liability is 70 and asset has increased $100 as given in the information in the question, in the problem. So 70 liability has increased. 70 has increased. So this liability plus the previous liability, that is in the beginning, $50, if we add these two, then it is $120. So this is the total liability. So the question is, find out total liabilities at the end of the year. So total liability is $120. So you can solve in this way many problems by using the accounting equation. And if you have total grip on the accounting equation, you can solve any problem very easily. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much.